Hi everybody, Jodi Topiz, We2Me, Divorce Decor, where a house becomes a home. You know about what I do already. I take people that are literally going from We2Me, married to single, and I transform their space to make them feel happy and comfortable in their home so they can move forward after a transition such as divorce. Speaking of divorce, I have two really cool guests with me today who micro-specialize in women's health finance. Being healthy financially is really, really important, and I am one of those women guilty of like, what? I don't even know how much to leave for a tip. Like, I'm lost. So I am so delighted to have my two guests here. Let me introduce you, Stephanie Bowyer.
That's right.
Chris Schiffer, COO, Stephanie Bowyer, who heads up AEPG Women.
Absolutely.
But she also has AEPG, which has merged with Freedom of Divorce Advisors to have their own special division. So it's you both, or your company, educates women. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
But then you go even deeper and help women like me in divorce. And that's hugely important. So what I wanted to start off by saying is, why don't we tell our story? How did we meet, Chris? You go first. How did we meet?
So through a mutual friend of ours, Ray Hawkins.
Love Ray.
Yep. So one of his events, and Ray is a senior financial planner with AAPG, and then we went to visit you at your demo place.
My showroom.
Your showroom. Yeah,
yes,
that's right. Your
it
showroom.
is my showroom. Yes, and it was a great chemistry. It was wonderful. You both came to the house, and we've been trying to get together actually for a while because I met you last year
very briefly
at that event.
Yeah.
And then it's just interesting how when you network, how important it is.
Yeah.
Ray kind of pushed us. He's like, you got to meet Stephanie. You got to meet Stephanie Bowyer. Because
there you go.
Bowyer, look how good. I did not say Bauer. I did before the show started. Bowyer. Yeah. And she said, you got to get together and you guys got to work together. What are you doing? So what happens? We got together, we started talking, and it looks like we just have so much synergy, and there's so many things that we can do for each other, for our clients, meaning things that we can help with. I'm a big proponent of, and then I'll let you explain, I know my story, and I told you my story. If I had come across people like you when I was first even contemplating a divorce, in the middle of the divorce, or even at the end, and I'm going to ask you, here's what you can prepare for. I'm going to ask you before divorce contemplating, during, and after, some advice. But if I had met you personally, my life would have turned out a little bit better financially. When you're going through divorce, it's so stressful. Absolutely. You're not paying attention to money. Everything is a nightmare. You're emotionally revved up, and you're hoping that you have a divorce attorney that has your back. Mine didn't, but okay, I'm just saying. There are a lot of wonderful divorce attorneys out there. But you know what I learned? I learned that before, especially if you're contemplating divorce, get the certified financial planner first. You guys are willing to walk into a divorce attorney with someone like me and say, hey, let's all sit down and talk, right?
And I'm not sure whether too many people out there know what a CFP is.
Can you explain that? Because some people don't know.
CFP stands for Certified Financial Planner.
Right.
And that's so important because to get that mark, you have to pass an exam, a comprehensive exam, which covers economics, accounting, investments, insurance, estate planning, a capstone course that takes through a case study, and 2 years of experience. So not everybody has that mark. So if you're looking for a financial advisor, you have to have a CFP. The other aspect of it is part of the ethics for a CFP is to put the interests of the client ahead of their own. And that's critically important.
Which means,
fiduciary.
Explain that, because not everyone knows fiduciary. Fiduciary, is it a hat? Is it a fedora? What is a fiduciary?
Yeah, there's a lot of words, and I can pull out Webster's dictionary, but
just get urban, get down and dirty. What does it mean?
I am treating you as if I would treat my own money. That's simple as that.
So you're not pushing a particular product on me because you have to.
Right. We are independent. We don't have any products to sell. We are looking for solutions for our clients.
And oftentimes when you have a financial advisor, they may be working, I don't want to name places, but they may be working for a big name, and they have to push that. They have to sell it. They have to meet a quota, don't they?
Yeah. And it's not just about investments.
Not good. Yeah.
It's kind of like a physician treating the entire patient.
Right.
Not just one aspect. It sounds like a small difference, but it's huge.
No, it is huge because we are we are one entity. You can't just treat or address one part of a divorce or of your. Let's just start with finances. What's so cool about you guys? And Stephanie, I'm very excited about this. Is that I know a lot of CFPs. I know a lot of advisors. Great, wonderful, but what's so cool about AEPG is you have AEPG Women. Okay, there's two things I want to talk about because I'm so excited about this. And Nicole, if you're listening, pay attention because you need them. You have a whole division that empowers women to understand finance. I am that one. You know, like we laughed about in the restaurant when we all met. I'm the one that's like, how much am I leaving for a pet tip? It's like, you want me to design a space, you want me to like pull things together, you want me to have a talk show? I can do that. Don't ask me to do math. Don't ask me. Now, what's so great is that you're constantly having workshops, right? You're educating women on all kinds of financial health. And I call it health and wellness because to go through any transition, you need to be healthy in so many areas, like you talked about, like a doctor. You're treating the whole person, the whole woman, the whole. I don't know any institution that specializes in women. Then you dig a little deeper, and not only do you have okay, here we go, AEPG Women.
Yes. Say it fast 3 times.
Oh, say it fast. You can't. Maybe you can. But you have AEPG Divorce Advisors. Stephanie, why don't you talk about that because you're heading it up and you're awesome. Tell everybody. You're welcome.
I'm awesome, apparently.
You are. You're awesome, and so are your lips. Come on. We look great. Tell everybody how cool this is and how important it is.
Yeah, I specialize in women. We have a women's division at AAPG, which AAPG is fully supporting. And I think it's really important that women are financially educated, have that financial confidence. We're very good often at the budgeting. We get money and we can figure out what to spend. But how are we thinking about our plans for our future? Are we thinking about insurance, risk management, estate documents? I don't think so.
No,
so
you're right.
That's the premise of AAPG Women, is to let women build confidence to make financial choices in the future and now.
It's so important, and it's so also very refreshing and also very comforting. And let me tell you why. For me, looking at it, knowing that I can go to you guys and sit down, it's like one-stop shopping. It's like that physician. You're going to give me a physical. Just don't give me an enema. But you're going to give me a physical. No enema.
On your finances.
Unless we purge. Maybe we're purging bad things. You know, like bad habits, like making a budget.
Sure.
I didn't have a budget before. I'm one of those people that needs a budget.
We don't call it a budget, by the way. We call it a spending plan.
Oh, because I don't like that word budget. You see, this is why I love you. So you will have a spending plan that really makes sense for the future, but you'll also allow me enough money to buy shoes once a month.
Absolutely.
These things are really important to women.
Everybody has different needs and wants. So my needs might be different from your needs.
Exactly.
You need to have your pair of shoes.
I must.
Yeah.
I must, or I can't go on. And a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the men enjoy it too in the end, don't they?
Sure.
They do. Come on, admit it. There's something good about that.
There is.
There's something good about that. You're with it. You're all there. But that is the really great thing about it, is when I first learned that you had the division for just the women and then you dug even deeper for divorced women, it gives me also a place to refer my ladies out. Even my even my gentlemen. It doesn't mean AEPG is for everybody, but the fact why you stand out is that you specialize in women. And I hate saying this. I know this sounds awful, and I'm a woman saying this about women, but typically we're not so good with money. I don't know what that is. It's that side. What is that, Chris?
We're even.
I don't know. What is that?
You're a man, Chris. Come on.
Yeah. What's your observation? And tell me why you're different after
that. I have two
I want your
daughters who
theory
have
and
got
your
a
theory.
very strong independent
Yeah.
streak, but it's not even just, some people are just not wired that way to manage money. They're so busy doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have somebody to go to get a second opinion, to know they're on the right track.
It's
so
huge.
important. It's critical.
It's critical.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Now you tell me you're a woman, you're a girl, and you got it all together. You do all of it. You're like super.
I think
you're like Wonder Woman.
Everybody is different. There are some women like me who are great with numbers and math,
Yeah.
but not all women and not all men, for that matter.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And I think typically, and I bet you have found this, both of you, that depending upon the age of your client, I find like my older ladies, okay, we talked about that in the green room, which is really not green, it's gray, but we'll talk about that later.
We can call it green.
Yeah, well, it's okay. We talked about how some of my older ladies, they feel more comfortable with a man. Why? Because maybe they're a little bit old-fashioned and their husband, who's maybe recently passed away, or there is a divorce, whatever, they handled all the finances, and so they have this comfort level with a man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then I have my other ladies who have just gotten divorced, and I'm sorry to say this, they hate you. They don't want to see a man. They hate you. They want
It's
another
okay.
woman.
Yeah.
You're okay
They
with
can
that.
It's
relate.
all about the chemistry.
It's all about the chemistry.
Right.
And then there's that mix where it doesn't matter. You know, it's just really, they just look at you genderless. It's either I'm comfortable with Chris, I'm comfortable with Stephanie. It really, really doesn't make a difference. But I have found an intense opinion, somewhat like what we're going through before the elections, a tense opinion about either one candidate or the other. Oh boy. No, I cannot see a man, or I must see a man, or it has to be a woman. It's really interesting, and I've seen, it seems to be based, I've noticed, I've been doing this business for 5 years now, a lot of it has to do with age.
Sure.
I've noticed, and culture.
Comfort level. It's
Culturally.
a comfort
Sure.
level.
Right.
Having developing that comfort level.
Right.
Yeah.
It's super important. So what's nice is you guys can, even though the women should come to
cover
you for
both.
that, you can
Yes.
still, you can
Yes.
just, you could put Chris
Yeah.
together and vice versa. And men, of course, can come to you
And by
as
the
well.
way,
What?
we work as a team. So they have the person they're comfortable with, but our CFPs pick a particular area to specialize
Right.
in. And so Stephanie can collaborate with one of our other planners on an elder care issue that
Exactly.
specialized in that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So say it's
Yeah.
loss of a spouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and they come to
exactly.
you. Didn't you have the coolest story? Wait, you told me this coolest story about selling a car. Am I making this up?
No,
Did I make that up?
Good
You
memory.
didn't make that
Oh,
up.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Talk about a financial institution that's got your back. This is a great
Yes,
story.
we do everything.
Right.
You really
Yeah.
no, seriously, they literally do everything. Please
So,
tell. I love this story.
Dr. couple,
Yeah,
retired,
yeah.
and they're getting on in years. They had a classic car that they didn't know what to do with anymore. They're not driving, they're not getting out as much. What should we do with this car? Should we take it to the dealership and just
And
Take-
they were
take what-
asking
take-
you this.
right,
You're like,
take-
why are they doing that?
should we just
That's
take
what's so
whatever
great.
they'll give us?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
said, well, you might be able to get a better deal if you post it on Craigslist. But wait, we'll you're not familiar with Craigslist. We'll
Right.
wite up the posting for you. And I said, wait,
Wait.
don't post
Yes,
it.
we do
Wait.
everything. Yeah.
Don't post it
Yeah.
because we don't want them people going to your home because some criminals,
Elderly
troll Facebook.
couple,
Yeah.
right?
So we said, you know what? Bring the car to our office, and we'll show it in our office.
Seriously, I
And
mean,
ultimately, the people started coming to see the car, and it was like, they wouldn't even come. It was just we would show the car. So ultimately, we sold the car.
it's the greatest story. I mean, think about that. Who does that? I don't know anyone that does that. Well, what other place does that? Nobody. It's such a great story because what it does, it really reveals the authenticity and the passion that you both have for your clients, like I do. I'm passionate, so much passion for my clients.
Yeah.
And you put that ahead of everything else.
Right.
And I think when that happens, that's when all the magic comes, and that's when everybody is drawn to you. I was drawn to that story. I thought that was, we sat in my showroom, and it was so great I was like, wait, did they just sell a car for an elderly couple?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. You could have said, hey, I got a guy, take it to my friend, he's got a car dealership, why don't you drop it off? But you knew, being elderly, that maybe they would be taken advantage of. And you watched out for them on every level. So let me start to ask you this. So say we're going to go, whoops. We're going to do the 3 scenarios. The contemplating divorce, a woman contemplating what should she do. That's the best time to get you, by the way. A woman who's deep in the middle of it, like I was at the time, wish I knew you. What do you do? And now the divorce is over. Can you still help them? So who wants to talk about the first one, which is you're contemplating it. Nobody even knows. It's a secret. You've talked about it maybe with your neighbor over a cup of coffee, and you said, I hate him. I gotta get out.
Personally, I think that even if you're not contemplating divorce, perhaps you're happily married, but I think all spouses, I wouldn't say women especially, but all spouses should make sure they have their own credit card, their own bank account.
That's great
and
tip.
I think,
that's already a great tip.
And I think we should all be aware of all our assets. So you might be happily married or you might be contemplating divorce, but make sure that you have a good handle on all the financial assets.
So start, in other words, maybe, say you don't, say you really stink at it, start looking into it. You would be open to someone coming and saying, you know what, Stephanie, Chris,
help me.
I don't even know, what am I looking for? You know, what is it that I'm looking for? Maybe they have a pizza business and it's a cash business. Do I figure out how many boxes they order a month to figure out what they're really making? Or like, how do I find the money because it's all cash? You know, there are all these, there are forensic accountants. I know you guys work with all of those people. There's so many scenarios where someone can really be lost and not know what to do. So,
I mean, I would think that going into the forensic accountant, that would be when you're actually going into
the divorce.
Right.
So not when you're contemplating.
So contemplating, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, Stephanie or Chris and or,
I just need to get organized.
Would you provide, would you say, okay, here is, see, Freedom of New Beginning. Look, Freedom Divorce Advisor, AEPG Divorce Advisors. Would you say, okay, here's a list of 10 things you need to do. Do your homework. What if the person says, and I'm giving you real life scenarios because I'm real familiar. I'm too overwhelmed. I can't. Can you help them? Like sell a car?
Don't panic. Breathe. That's the first thing I would say to them.
Exactly.
We're going to look after you. So don't worry.
Don't worry. So if there's something they can't handle, you can scooch them along and hold their hand.
We'll nudge them along and help them.
We'll
hold
provide
guidance.
A shoulder to cry on,
absolutely.
a hug, snotting, all that stuff that happens with us as women. Mascara running.
There's plenty of tissues in there.
So many tissues. There's so many tissues. It's so important. But as much as we joke, those things really happen. People are heartbroken. They're terrified. They're frightened. I was.
It's very emotional.
It's very, very emotional. Second snenario, that's me. Like, before I met you, I was fortunate enough to meet somebody that was a CFP that helped me, and I wouldn't even have my showroom if I hadn't met her. So I am strongly suggesting, if you guys are out there and you're in the middle of the divorce, please see these people. Let's talk about that scenario. I'm going to throw that back at you.
Divorce. Okay, so
now what?
So now there's a draft of a property settlement agreement.
That's right.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
And it's not just, okay, a spreadsheet with some numbers. We have programs to show visually what it looks like.
A color.
You got what you got.
Future might look.
You got what you got.
Yeah, now what?
This is what the attorneys are proposing.
Right.
What does that look like? What does that look like from a cash flow perspective for the rest of your life? Is that enough to live on? How do we make it work?
What if those attorneys made a mistake?
It's possible.
It happened to me. I mean, it's a huge mistake.
The attorneys might fight for what you'd felt to fight for.
Right.
I want the house. I want the house. I want the house. And unfortunately, we have plenty of divorcees that come to us after it's all done, and they won the house. And
now what?
How are they going to keep it?
How are they going to maintain it?
Right.
So fighting emotionally, because it is emotional, I want that house, I was there 20 years, isn't always the best thing to want or ask for.
Absolutely.
So it's hugely important to take your financial CFP with you by the hand and walk yourself, whatever phase you're in, into that divorce attorney's office and have them go in person. Sometimes you need that person to walk in and talk like this in front of the divorce attorney.
Sure.
Because
be an advocate.
Be an advocate.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like, when you go into the hospital, they say always have an advocate because, they could sew you up and you got a sponge. All of a sudden there's a sponge. And you're like, wait, you didn't take the sponge out?
Yeah.
You need someone.
Hopefully it's not that bad.
Hopefully it's not that bad, but it can be. But the idea of also bringing in another professional, especially, and I'm going to say it again, not a financial advisor, a CFP. These are people that have gone to school. They have a lot of letters after their name. Those are the ones you want.
Yes.
The attorney is then almost propped up to be at his or her best too when you walk in. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now in my case, I can't mention who my attorney was, but if you had been with me, you would have said to me, please run while you can, get your retainer back and go somewhere else. I had someone that was a nightmare. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
That's why I am such an advocate. You guys, to me, in any divorce scenario, come first, always. That's how I feel, and I said this to you privately, and I'm saying it to you, everybody out there on television. Get the divorce finance CFP or the divorce specialist first.
Right.
Then ask them if they know of.
You
guys have attorneys.
Yes.
I have attorneys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Somebody that you or I, the three of us know, like Sandra Fava, she's like lovely.
Yeah.
It's a person who, cries when you tell her what you're going through. She truly cares.
Yeah.
There are so many good ones out there.
Yeah.
You don't want to just end up with anybody and then be in a nightmare like I had.
Yeah.
My God. It was part of the reason I started We2Me.
But like you said, it's someone who truly cares.
Truly cares.
And non-judgmental. I had one gentleman who said, he came to me with his stuff and he said, you probably think I'm a dummy for doing this. Look,
You don't want that. Yeah.
I'm not here to judge you.
No.
It is what it is.
Yep.
And I'm here to explain what your options are. That's it.
And that's what's nice about you. There's something very approachable. I used to call it, it's almost like you're really just becoming very exposed. It's hard to be very exposed with a stranger and say, I'm getting divorced. This is what I have left. I don't even know where part of it is. I'm so ashamed. You know what happened for me?
Yeah.
I had a very successful business prior to We2Me. I don't know if I told you this story. And with the divorce and the stress of it, and I had some illness in my family, financial issues that I didn't know how to handle, my business pretty much went to the wayside. And I went from making a nice amount of money to a very tiny bit of money. And when I went in and talked to a CFP, I was ashamed. I felt so ashamed. I felt ashamed. Don't be ashamed. I was like, here I am. I was making all this money, and I watched it all dwindle away. I've lost most of my retirement due to all kinds of things. And this is what I make, and this is all I have. I was so embarrassed. It took me so long to get the courage. And, the comfort level that you guys provide is priceless. Nobody wants to feel like a loser. And you've already lost in one of the biggest things in your life. Whether you ask for the divorce or not, it's a loss. It's a death of a relationship. It affects you, right?
Yeah.
So it's so important. The last part, so say they got the divorce and they didn't do they're really kind of screwed. And now they come to you. Stephanie, what do you tell them? What's the minimum you can do for them? What could you do for them? Is there anything you could do?
Once you've got divorced, the first thing that you want to make sure and that we could help you with is doing all the things that you should be doing after the property settlement agreement.
Give me three things. Give me three things they should be doing.
Make sure your beneficiary designations. I know they're probably
people
what the hell
forget about that.
What are they?
Yeah.
That's right, they forget.
My life insurance, my will.
Oh my gosh.
My retirement plan.
Great point.
You know, you need to make sure that those have been updated.
Oh wow,
and
that's a great point.
Yeah, that's something that we can help with. And then, if you're renting, do you need to carry on renting, or can you get a mortgage? We can help you.
Right.
Perhaps get a mortgage, buy something, refinance if need be, get your name off the mortgage that you had with your spouse.
Exactly. That's why
every situation is different.
Every situation is different. And you and I privately spoke, without you, Chris, sadly. You weren't there on the call. But we talked about sometimes it's not wise to buy. Sometimes it's better to rent. Didn't we have that conversation?
I keep saying that.
I rented for 2 years.
I feel like I'm a broken record because I keep saying there is nothing wrong
with renting. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. And depending on the circumstances, both of you and your team would be able to say to someone, you know what? For me, for instance, I rented for 2 years.
Yeah.
I needed to rent, and then I ended up purchasing.
Yes.
It was the best route for me. Right. I could not have purchased right after. I was a mess. I couldn't even think straight.
Well, the big thing with the transition is, well, all right, maybe the kids are grown, and maybe they live elsewhere. So
do you need that house?
Why chain yourself to the house?
Yeah. Right.
You know.
But people, don't they hold on? They're like, it's my house at 20 years and I'm not. This is where that happens. And that's why, again, super important to bring in professionals like yourselves into that divorce attorney's office if you're smart enough to catch it. And if you're not, you guys are absolutely would be able to review what's already been done and make it better.
Also help going forward.
Right, that's all you can do. It is what it is. So this is pink. What do we do with pink now?
Well,
we'll do something with it. It's not the end of the world, right?
Well, we worked with one divorcee sell her home. Yeah. So she put it on the market. I need a realtor. Okay, who should I go to?
So you pulled everyone together.
Right. Okay. And now it's on the market. Like, okay, I got my first offer. What should I do? You know, this below the asking price. What should I counter at?
Right.
You know, so what's the strategy?
Hugely important. And then that case, may I add, that's when you bring me in so I can help them homestage, get more money for their house, and feel comfortable in their home. That's where I come in. Yes. This is where I come in. This is what I do. Yeah. But this is very important. I'm looking at the time. We're actually pretty good. But while we're still talking before it all ends, I want you to tell everybody, look into the camera, tell them how they can reach you. Please give them your phone number, your website, everything, just in case, and then we'll talk more.
Sure. Our website is www.aepg, A is in Apple, E is in Edward, P is in Paul, G is in George.com. And my phone number is 908-821-9764. And Stephanie?
And my direct number is 908-821-9763.
Isn't that easy? It's very close, and you can get either one of them. You can get either one of them or all of them, and you can get me.
Sure.
Jodi Topiz, 973-985-4386, because we are all now working together. Sure. We will be doing, Stephanie, why don't you tell everybody,
for
Wondering Woman.
AEPG Women, and Jodi. Do that again.
Okay, we're going to go from Wondering Woman to Wonder Woman.
Because we have events every quarter. And we are having a special event in January that Jodi and I are going to be presenting. Mostly Jodi, actually. So AEPG Women, we try to do every event, has a little bit of networking, a little bit of financial education.
I think you're going to talk about cash flow, right?
Yes, I am. And then we have a guest speaker, and you are going to be the guest
speaker.
I
am the guest speaker, and I'm going to show you guys how to take your space, whether you rent it or own it, and make you feel comfortable and happy in your space, no matter what your budget. Because I'm going to use my tiny 2-room rented apartment after I lost my home of 20 years as the example. We will talk about money, decor, menopause. We'll laugh at our chin hair and all kinds of things. We're going to have a blast. Stay tuned for more of that information to come once we have a date. We don't have a date yet, but it's in January.
In January.
We're working it.
Yes. Very soon.
Very soon.
The actual date.
Exactly, and I'm excited. I want to thank you guys so much for being on my show. I'm so honored to have you as my financial expert. You'll be on again and again.
Thank you so much, Jodi.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You can wave goodbye at your camera.
Oh, we'll wave goodbye at our camera.
And thank you so much, Jodi Topiz.